There was this really nice thing that a monk from Myanmar, I think the name seemed like that, did on two of the time Vipassana tools, the posture, what the body is made of, and the elements, three actually. So let us try that. Now, why are we doing what we are doing? We are trying to keep awareness. How did we, this all relates to this whole idea of me, I. Why do you think the Satara Satipatthana starts with the body? Because that is where it all started. When you were born, you didn't know that you were born. Why did you cry? You cried because something was uncomfortable. Hot, yeah. Cold, yes. Discomfort, hunger. You didn't know what it was. You didn't know what is hot. You didn't know what is cold. You don't know what hunger is. All you know is you can feel something. You are aware of what you feel. And it didn't feel good. So you howled. As you grow up, you start putting labels. Perception starts getting formed. Chances are you put label of this is good, I like this, because your mom said it's good. Your mom. By the time you're 15, you have decided on many things in life. Who has influenced you? Your parents, teachers, friends, society, social media. They have defined to you what you like, what you don't like, what is good, what is bad, what is right, and what is wrong. For the next years of your life, 90% of the time, you're thinking, you're speaking, your action gets driven by these perceptions. So today, if you think something is nice and tasty, you are probably a child when you decided that. Of course, there are later things that you acquire as a taste. You override certain things. My best example is like something like Karavila. It was awful once upon a time. Now you like it. So you can override, but mostly the basic perception remain because you have never questioned it. You have never questioned it. You have taken it for granted. The problem with these perceptions are, number one, they are not yours. Think about it. If you like rice and dal and dry fish, that's not you. That's Sri Lanka. Nothing to do with you. It's your mom and dad or whoever fed you when you were a kid. If you like burgers and pizza, that's not you. That's you trying to be cool. Or wherever you grew up, where that was them. None of this is you. But how many of us think it is free will, independent choice? If you start examining these perceptions, you will realize there's hardly any free will in this. Somebody pushed it down your head. and you believed it. So similarly, you can push something else down your head as a perception that everything is changing all the time. There is no controlling anything. This combination is very dissatisfactory. If you can push that into your perception, you will get enlightened. You won't have any problem. Because every time you see something, you hear something, you touch, taste, feel something, that is the perception that will come by default. This will change. I can't control it. So what's the value in it? In fact, by the time my sense recognized it, it's already changed. This is insight. This is what we are trying to do today. A small example, when you look in the night sky and see a star, you know the twinkle, twinkle, the ones that twinkle, they're stars. The ones that don't, they're planets, right? So when you see a star that's twinkling, as a kid, I thought, wow, I'm seeing a sun, somebody else's sun. Later, I was told it could be dead. It could be a dead sun. By the time the light reached me, such a long time, that right now when I'm seeing actually where it originated, it is no more. That is the deception we are in. What we think we are seeing is not real. That star could be gone. Think of what you see right now in front of you. You see people. Anatomically, you know, this body is changing. There are very small particles at any given time. Some particles are getting born, rising. Some particles are changing. Some particles are passing away. And when you look at a person, that person has changed, but we don't know because our eyesight does not have the capacity to see that change. So one reason for our deception is capability, capacity. Our eye cannot see the change. It can see after a long time. When you compare photographs, when you see a person, you are like, oh, you have age, you have got fat, you have got thin, or you look younger than before. Something has changed. But the real change, we don't see. The change that is happening right now. When we look at another person, we see a whole person. But that is not true. There's no whole person there. That is a bundle of atoms. Walking bundle of atoms. Our eye cannot see at atomic level or subatomic level. Our eye can see at subatomic level. There is no person here. It's a few particles. Empty space. Particles, when they are close enough, there is a feeling of solidity. There is empty space inside. Then there is fluidity. There's a temperature. Every person you see is like nature. Just particles. Just hardness, fluidity, air, and temperature. The eye does not show this to us. It shows us a person, a whole person. The perception, the label shows us a name. This is so and so. This is my friend, my mother, my child, my dog. So where did this feeling of I come? When you were born, you were aware of a feeling. That feeling could have been either pleasant. If the feeling was pleasant, you did nothing. Because when you are born, you don't know even the smile. You just feel pleasant. If the feeling was unpleasant, you howled. If the feeling was neutral, you did nothing. Why do babies start to smile? Because they see the adult smiling. And they calibrate smiling with the pleasant sensation. They calibrate crying with the unpleasant sensation. And neutral feeling is probably they don't understand what it is. Sometimes the baby realizes that if the baby smiles for no reason, it gives a nice reaction in the adult. They go, wow. They call others, they all come and look at the baby and they all greet him. So babies do this. They start figuring things out. This is what we did. This is important. This is how we started. There is a me, myself. This is important. Baby starts to make sense of what is going on. Baby looks around, baby sees the body. And then the baby starts thinking, this is me. The baby can feel, the baby is aware something is going on, looks around, sees the body and thinks, this is what is going on. This is the body. This is me. As the baby matures, the baby realizes it can think, realizes it feels emotions. Gradually, now a child realizes there is a mind. This is how we create that identity. And much before all of this, the mother, caretaker, repeatedly tells the child, the baby, the name, this is your name. Then the mother, the caretaker will say, see, baby's nose, baby's foot, baby's shoe, baby's book. Now you see, we formed an identity with the body, with the mind, and things that belong to this body and the mind. I started calling mine, my name, my nose, my shoe, identity. We carry on to this day. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that you need to understand how this originated. You are just trying to figure out what this awareness was. And you couldn't understand it, that awareness, that consciousness. So you thought that consciousness, that awareness is the body. Gradually you realized the consciousness, the awareness is the body and the mind. And now you realize that consciousness is just a consciousness. The consciousness can be conscious of the body. The consciousness can be conscious of the mind. That is what we are going to do. Present moment awareness. We practice it through the body. Kayan Pasana. Present moment awareness. So, only when the tea is ready, they'll serve it. Or maybe people can take a break. No, don't worry. We'll take a break because people were seated for a long time. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, so that no. Do a mindful eating. Yeah. We'll okay. All right, I can do that. Okay. So Dr. Ramapuri has now exceeded our expectation. The biscuit, last night, it was a biscuit. Today, voila, it's a sandwich. Okay, so Dr. Manori is suggesting that we can use this awareness in eating. So this is a good opportunity to see the Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana. So Vijnana is the awareness, the consciousness. So Rupa is actually an image in the mind, but we commonly call it the physical thing, like the sandwich, your whole. So when you bite into the sandwich, you will have your taste dough function. Now, the taste dough, the tongue, will tell you what it tastes like. Again, there are a lot of limitations in this human body. The tongue can taste only 5 or 6, I forget, standard taste. Saltiness, sweetness, sour, right? What you call spiciness. Thank you. And bless anyone who was behind. You can have it. So we can do something now, just like the mind is always tricking us. We can use this to our advantage to understand how the mind works. Watch the sandwich and see whether there is desire coming or whether there is some degree of dislike that this is not the sandwich I want. Or if you are a person, any sandwich is a good sandwich, you can observe desire. If you are a person in a certain way, you can observe dislike. If you are a person who doesn't care for a sandwich, you can observe neutral. Main thing is to just look into your mind right now and see, is there a very subtle desire? Or is there a very subtle dislike? Or is there some neutral feeling because right now you really don't care for a sandwich? Watch that. And then while observing that, you start to eat and see what it tastes like. And before you take the next bite, just pause. If it is something you like, your entire body will be like, eat the next bite. You can watch it. You can see the, and you can smile and you're like, yeah, in a moment. And you eat. You keep doing that because this is an opportunity to really see how you like it. If it is something that you don't care for that much, it might be a bit harder to spot because these are very, very fine things. But see if you can do that. Now, Dr. Manori, while we are eating our sandwich, what do I tell the people on Zoom? How do you overcome your desire for food? And then he said, when the desire is useful for sustenance, I go with it. When the desire is not useful and it's indulgence, then I just observe it. And he's a scientist, so he has even timed it. He gave me the precise number of seconds. He said, if you can wait, observe with equanimity and wait for I don't know whether he said 15 seconds or 22 seconds or something. He said it disappears. Whatever that arose passes away. He said, whatever that arises, because you are grasping, it stays. Right? Whatever arises, if you don't engage, if you don't contact, it passes away. It's like, think of this wall. If our mind is this wall, you keep all the doors and windows open. Air will come from every direction, swirl a bit, and leave from another direction. This is how things arise, change, and pass away. Now, sometimes a lizard or a bird or a squirrel will come into the hole. If we do nothing, if we are just aware and just observe, because this is not the rightful place for a lizard or a bird or a squirrel, it will always leave. As long as nobody engages, it will leave. The moment you take a broom and try to chase it, it will stay out of fear, it will hide. It will go under something and hide. Right? So this is the whole contradicting thing. When you are trying to chase something, it stays because you are grasping it. Right? So grasping happens to things we like and things we dislike. So he said, try and observe things as they arise and as they change and as they pass away. And he said, if you can't observe it as you arise, as they arise, but if you are aware that something has now come to the mind, just observe. But you can time it if you want. Just observe and see if you can observe without passion, with equanimity. Right now, sometimes I see one of my favorite, a cockroach come, and I observe it with like, right? There's a lot of passion in that observation. So it doesn't go away. Cockroach is also staying, my fear is also staying, nothing happens, right? But sometimes I see a spider. I don't care for spider. I'm like, spider, a spider. You just, I'm fine. You know, I'm cool. Spider does what a spider does. After some time, when I look at it, no spider. So this is how dispassion. It's all about dispassion. But right now, initially, we will observe with passion. We'll observe with grasping, right? And that's what I told you to observe when you're having the sandwich. If you like the taste, your entire body is screaming, take the next bite, take the next bite. You don't need it. You have breakfast. You know this, right? You don't need that sandwich, but we ate it anyway. Enslavement. We went with the flow. We ate it anyway, and we liked it, right? And there's nothing wrong in it. Just observe that whole process. So wherever you saw that urge, eat it, bite it, come on. That is grasping, right? The perception said, I like this, and yes, I'm grasping it. So initially, we can't suppress it. We start observing. In this observation, gradually, when we realize the three characteristics of everything in life, anicca, anatma, the dukkha, then gradually that perception starts fading. And we start thinking that, you know, this sandwich, the taste, the taste second on the tongue. That's it. And that few seconds of taste, what we are willing to fight for and die for. Right? Just a few seconds. Right? And if you think of the time we invest in cooking in countries like ours, right? Ghana, Mirikala, Upala, Potala, every possible thing we do, hours and hours, seconds of taste, seconds. Suddenly you are like, and then when you start looking at the reality, what you ate today, 6 hours later, where is it? 1 day later, where is it? What does it come out like? When you start looking at the reality, you are like, what is this all for? And the fact that you might be damaging yourself because of your indulgence. Slowly the reality dawns that maybe there's no value in this. Right? So baby steps. Baby step is Sati Sampadana, that is being conscious of the consciousness. Mostly we are unconscious of the consciousness. For example, now I'm shaking my head, I don't know why I'm doing that. Right? It's a habit. If there's no really need to shake your hand when you're talking. So again, see, habit. No, please. Oh, what was the question? Come. Tell it your way. Always, everybody adds something to this.
Thank you for this wonderful session that you're conducting. We are here learning this meditation program.
It's a bit of a loose connection. Yeah.
As it means to an end. So once you know the Anicca Dukkha Anattma, and you know the workings of the body of Nama Rupa, and realize that craving and attachment is most difficult thing to let go, and that is what Buddhism that keeps us bound to this samsaric world. So we have to get rid of the lobha dosa moha. So I hope you tie up the program with how we can really get through the because Satipatthana is a means to an end. How we can really tackle that problem of desire and seeing the reality and then the practical side of how we can handle it. Thank you once again for the great program.
Thanks, Ajit. And that's what you said that I answered, right? So yes, the lobha and the dvesha, two sides of the same coin. It's just two sides of the same coin, right? Whatever you like or you dislike, we end up grasping, right? One we grasp because we want to keep it. Other we grasp because we want to chase it. But the want, it reminds me of somebody once came to the Buddha and said, I want happiness. And the Buddha said, it's very easy. If you remove the I, if you remove the want, you are left with happiness, right? So I is the delusion. This whole lobha dvesha comes because of the delusion of I. Because I am defining what I like and what I don't like. So lobha, I define because I first identify with me. And in order to understand, there is no permanent entity called me, I. We have to go a little bit back into our babyhood. You realized we started getting attached to this identity of I because there was an awareness. And as a baby, we couldn't understand what this awareness is. If we could understand that that is all that it is, it's just an awareness. Something changing from moment to moment, even the awareness is changing from moment to moment. If not, we should just be fixated on one awareness. But our awareness is also changing from moment to moment. Our consciousness is changing, right? It will be the I consciousness, and the I consciousness changes. Because the I physically is changing as well. What the I is seeing, another physical body is changing as well. And the I consciousness is changing faster. And it says that this Rupa Vedana Sanya has to happen multiple times before we are even aware that something is happening, right? So if it happens just once, it's not enough. It has to happen thousands and thousands of times before we are first aware. There is a vision, there is a sight, right? So again, the scope of the eye is very limiting. It doesn't show you as a bundle of empty space. It doesn't show the mind in the mind's eye as just Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Samkhara, just in a process of thoughts, a process of physical elements, a process of mental elements. It's a combination of two processes. And the consciousness is also part of that. Anyway, the two processes coming together gave rise to the consciousness. And as you are born, as you are a baby, you are conscious of your consciousness, but you don't know what to make out of it, how to make head or tail of it. So you look around, and as you mature in your consciousness, you start thinking this body must be that consciousness, this me. You are identifying with the consciousness. And then it's easy to identify with the body. So then we start identifying with the name, with the body. And as we mature more in the consciousness, we start identifying with the thoughts. This is how I think. This is my brain. This is what I like. So this all the perceptions start getting formed, what I like and what I don't like. And then we are very clear about, I don't eat these things. I eat only these things. This is how I do things. As we grow older, we might change, especially some thoughts about how we dress and how we behave and how we want to project our image. But more or less, we kind of fix something influenced by this. If you say this is what we are talking about, even this we are influenced by what the Buddha said, right? But the beauty of the truth of the world is, it sounds right now when we talk of natural selection. Nature wanted you to reproduce, and in order for you to reproduce, it evolved a program that is more beneficial for reproduction and less beneficial for enlightenment. Because would nature want us to get enlightened? No, that's going to serve no purpose. Would the rest of the world want us to get enlightened? No, then who is going to buy all the goods and services, right? This world is built on reproduction, and people are making a lot of money out of it, right? By pleasing the eye, pleasing the ear, pleasing the tongue, pleasing the nose, pleasing the body. $1 million industry, right? In fact, I'm surprised they haven't shot us already for telling people that you are enslaved, right? Because somebody is going to lose a lot of money if people actually awaken to this truth, right? Nobody is going to use any of those things. They are just going to be satisfied by one meal a day, whatever that is. One or two items of flour, right? And, you know, as long as you have some sort of shelter, nobody's going to care. And my goodness, the world economy, nobody's going to promote this, right? So that is why this will fade and this will die. And you can see it. You can see it. Now, even now, being Buddhist, we are just discovering what the Buddha said, because so many other things have come and clouded the original word. It's almost like samatha and vipassana. So when we say be conscious of your consciousness, there are two ways of doing this. One is to see, our mind is so used to getting distracted. It takes some time to calm down and settle your mind, right? I think Ajahn Brahmachandra again mentioned this in a beautiful way. He said, the pathway to his monastery is a beautiful little bit of a hill, right? So every day he gets driven past. One day it was a nice summer day and he said, I'd like to walk. So he got down at the bottom of the hill and he walked up to the monastery. And he said for the first time in his life, he has been in that monastery for many years, he noticed that there were tiny flowers in the grass, which you will never see when you are driving fast, because the speed is too much. So generally when we are in life, there are a lot of things about our mind and body we don't notice, because the speed is too much. We are rushing from one thing to another while thinking of many other things. So when we stop and settle down and be calm and quiet, then suddenly we start noticing things that we didn't notice before. Very subtle things about the body and the mind. Now, in order to notice that, the mind has to be very calm and stable, peaceful. So for many people, to switch suddenly from worrying about some day-to-day work or something related thing, and then suddenly sit for 10 minutes and meditate, that switch is very hard. So that is why all these anapanasati and all these samatha meditations were Hindu techniques 6,000 years ago. They developed those to help people to settle into the moment, just to settle in, right? Because once you get the skill, you can just like putting a switch on and off, you can get into it. But initially, you need to just settle down. So even Satipatthana, we start with anapanasati just to settle in to the normal breathing. You relax, you start focusing, And with that calm and focused mind, then you can do stuff. You can start introspecting, start being conscious about the consciousness. Now, there's a subtle difference there because in the samatha, we are forcing the mind to do just one thing, to watch the breath, or if you are walking, watch your sole of the foot, how it touches, what you feel. So samatha meditation is making your mind do one thing without getting distracted with anything. Whereas the vipassana technique is to let the mind do what the mind does, let the body do what the body does, and we are just observing. And we are trying to observe it without a judgment. Why without a judgment? So when the mind gets distracted, we are not going to feel bad about it because we understand that's the nature of the mind. When somebody, sorry. Yes, the sati sampajana is clear comprehension of whatever the body and the mind is doing. So when you are doing a samatha meditation, there is clear comprehension, yeah, that you are doing a samatha meditation. But it's very important in vipassana because the way the Buddha advised, again, without slowing down, you see in meditation retreats, the moment they say you need to be mindful of your activities, people just slow down. And I also have done that because our speed is too fast for us to observe. So when you're drinking the tea, you are like, take the cup slowly. I'm taking the cup. I'm lifting the cup. Now I'm keeping it to my lips. So it's like slow motion, robotic, right? It looks very unnatural. But that's because we are not used to it. But the moment we start getting used to just being conscious of our consciousness, just be conscious. And there might be 1,000 things happening at the same time because when you're lifting a cup, so many muscles are being used. And the more conscious you become, you sense, you feel the subtle changes in the muscles. But we all know that the mind can be in only one place at a time. So you just follow the mind where the mind is sensing these things and just be conscious of that. And then as you lift the cup and drink, the consciousness moves from the muscles of the hand suddenly to the tongue and the taste buds and the taste simulation. And while all that is happening, suddenly again you might notice, oh, it's a bit sweaty here. So you just keep following whatever that's happening. That is where we try to be having equanimity. Now, equanimity is actually a state of what happens when you are enlightened, where you are completely dispassionate about it. So dispassion is something like this. There's something neither right or wrong about it. There's nothing good or bad about it. Let me give a small example. I recently asked at the Dhamma school, I asked the kids, is getting 9 A's for O level, is it a good thing or a bad thing? And they all said it's a good thing. I said, okay. Now, if I tell you again, don't worry whether this data is correct or not, but if I tell you the research has proven that most children who get 9 A's for a O level don't pass their A level because they get a superior sense of achievement and they don't really put the effort required for A level. And most people who make it to medical college and engineering law school are people who didn't get 9 A's. Imagine there's a research like that. Now, what do you think? Getting 9 A's is good or bad? And they all immediately said it's a bad thing. I said, how can you change your mind about such an important thing? 5 minutes ago, you said it's a good thing. And now you're saying it's a bad thing, right? This is how we change our mind about what is good, bad, right, wrong, because it's not based on some absolute truth. Only things that are based on some absolute truth remain timeless. Everything else is subject to change when the data changes, right? So then you can't believe in it. So everything that we have believed so far, other than the 4 noble truths, other than the 3 characteristics of life, like Anitya, Dukkha, Anatta, or the 4 noble truths, there is suffering, there is a reason for suffering, there is a way out of it, and that is the middle path and the Arya Ashtanga Marga, all that stuff. Other than that, everything else is subjective. So equanimity comes from knowing that. When you know that, You are not going to get excited by whatever you see. And that's why the Buddha said, what you see is just what you see. Right? He didn't mention it then. People wouldn't have understood it, but he knew what you see is just light rays entering your mind. It's light rays coming and stimulating something. Medical people know there's something in your eye that sends some electrical charge from your brain to your brain through the nerves, optical nerve. Some jazz like that. Right? And we think we saw something beautiful. But actually, our eye can see only 7 colors. Do you think there are more colors in the world? I am very sure there are more colors in the world. How do I know? Because think of how we hear. We hear a range between 20,000 to some 200,000 or something. There's a range we can hear. Now our dog can hear things on this side and things on the other. The dog can hear better, right? So that is proof to you. Your dog can hear better. I'm sure there are other beings who can see better than us. Right? But we think dog can't see colors. Thank you. Nature, yeah, let's try to balance it off, I think. Maybe the higher beings. So maybe the devas, the brahmas, the higher beings, maybe they can see more than 7 colors, right? Now the point is, what do we believe as the truth? We believe the 7-color world is the truth and nothing else. If somebody comes and says, I can see 8 colors, we will not believe it, right? Because we are hell-bent that there's only 7 colors in the world. So this is how normal perception happens. Actually, it is about, it really doesn't matter. There's nothing to argue here because number one, why do we argue? It's me, I, ego. This is what I think. So everything that creates passion comes from I. The Lobha Dvesha comes because of the moment. This is what we need to understand. The delusion is what is creating the Lobha Dvesha in the first place. Right? So we are not trying to get rid of Lobha Dvesha. That is a byproduct. We need to understand how we are deceived into thinking that there's a permanent entity called me. This permanent entity occupies space and time. How? From the time you were born up to now is your past. And you have taken that past as permanent. But the reality is that baby is born long dead. The child is born long dead. This world will never see that child again. The teenager is gone. The young person is gone, right? The middle-aged person, the elderly person, all that is remaining now is for a mere millisecond. But as I speak, that millisecond has passed and I am no longer there. That is the speed of change, which we are not understanding fully. If we can understand fully how we are changing from a moment to moment, we understand that there is no permanent being here. But lack of that understanding, we are occupying past and we are occupying a projected future through our imagination. Through our imagination, we are occupying tomorrow. Forget tomorrow. Through our imagination, we are occupying the rest of the day. We are occupying tomorrow. We are occupying next week. We are occupying next year. And we are occupying a couple of years later, right? And some of us in our mind, we are occupying, God knows what. Most humans are occupying at least 70, 80, 90-degree time at the same time. This is how we occupy time. And we create to ourselves a false sense of permanent entity that is occupying time. When you look at your baby photos, you say, that is me. That's not you, no way. You know, that is dead, gone. Correct, but we refuse to see it that way, right? Because we are so attached. We are very attached to this identity, right? Because when we were born, we misunderstood it. This consciousness, we misunderstood it. We tried to understand it. Our faculties were not mature enough to understand. Now we are trying to relearn it. You know how hard it is to relearn something that you believed so hard, that you love with all your heart, all your life. And then suddenly to say that all that is not true, that's scary. And when it is scary, you run away from it. You don't want to face it. Right? That's what happens to most people. They don't like this. They don't like to hear this. Most people don't like to hear this. Correct. So coming back to what is neutral, neutral is indifference. It's a selfish indifference. So, for example, if you are not a sandwich person, if you don't care for sandwich, but you care for other things, and somebody was short of a sandwich, you'll be like, take my sandwich, right? But those of you who's a mother or a father or, a caretaker, you know that sometimes we give up things that we really care about out of compassion, out of compassion. That's not neutral. That's compassion. Right? So people who have equanimity have a lot of compassion. And this is why metta is so important. Now, when you understand that there are lots of beings in this universe, forget this world, who will never understand this. And they will suffer and suffer and suffer as a result. And I'm not even talking of next, I'm talking of this world. Right? Because every moment we spend unconscious about our consciousness, we are just getting to unhappiness, right? And when you look around, usually you don't see your own unhappiness, but you can see it in your fellow family members. That they are upset over trivial things, things that have absolutely no value. Then what are you upset about? That they see as having no value. Technically, nothing can have value because if everything is changing and you have no control, what is there to grasp? Yeah. So, Miss, is that Ayanti, right? Okay, the indifference. So, in the whole Lobha Moha, neutral is almost a selfish level of indifference. Equanimity is something very hard. It is equanimity. The best example I can give you is somebody you really love died. Can you look at that with the right awareness? Yeah, that everything that arises passes away. The sun rises and passes away. People are born and people die. None of us can do that, isn't it? The moment we think of ourselves, some of you I know have told me that you are cool and you're ready to go, but most of us, when you think of others in our life, we don't want them to go. Think of your dog and cat. Yes.
Even when our eyes are closed, so the stimulus is coming, so there may be some kind of problem that is happening.
Yes, I'll give you a lovely one because I haven't. So the question is for the people on Zoom, how do we explain karma? I haven't entirely wrapped my head around it, but I take a lot of solace, relief from knowing that you can kill 999 people and get enlightened. That is good enough. I haven't killed anybody so far, except I have to apologize to all the cockroaches who have died on my behalf. But other than that, so if that is possible, right? So the way I see it is this, I'm sure there must be a plausible explanation, right? Right now, don't worry about it. Just put all your energy into being conscious about your consciousness. right? Because if Venerable Angulimala Thero got a free pass, why not? Huh? Yeah, yeah, good. Another thing I always think about is Venerable Ajahn Chand. He always said, just observe, that's all you need to do. You don't need any theory and all of that. So it's interesting, I think, to look for these things and to find those explanations. But I also feel what you feel is when you are starting to practice being conscious of your consciousness, then when you start experiencing things, then you might want to check what are these things, right? So for example, all of you, when you meditate, experience a moment of joy, feeling peaceful, right? Everybody has experienced that, otherwise you're not going to keep coming for meditation. If meditation was excruciating pain, you won't come again. You all are in this calm because you have experienced something peaceful in that process, right? So that is an immediate outcome, and that will always, you can then check what it is that you're experiencing, right? So better to experience something and check what it is than read up something and expect to experience. Because one mistake a lot of people make in meditation, having an expectation of a certain outcome. We should know and know that it hardly happens that way. But Dr. Manari and I were discussing this in the morning as well. Somebody asked the Buddha, you have meditated for a long time. What have you gained? And he said, I have gained nothing. But I can tell you what I have lost. I have lost anger, frustration, worry, anxiety, depression, grief, sorrow. I had lost them. Right. So that is how you should check your progress. Are you 1% more patient than you were before? Are you 1% more likely to forgive than you were before? Are you 1% more likely to accept that things don't go your way? Are you 1% more likely to know that old age happens, illness happens? There's nothing good or bad in it. Excuse me.
Do you want us to pause?
No. To again, this is Venerable Ajahn Brahmavancha Thero was saying. We say that when we go to the doctor, something is wrong with me, I am sick. He said, nothing is wrong with you. You are meant to fall sick. The next time you go to the doctor, you must say, doctor, something's right with me, I'm sick. See, in our mind, we think falling sick is wrong. But no, every being that is born is meant to fall sick many times. It's meant to grow old. It's meant to grow. And we think growing old, falling sick, certainly dying, we see it as a bad thing. And that's a perception in our mind. It's a bad thing. It shouldn't happen. Right? So these are the things that make us. So when you believe wrong things, of course you will be unhappy your whole life because that is not the reality. The reality is you will reality is you will grow old and you will die. So the Buddha, when he was 80, he told Venerable Ananda, my body is like an old cart, right? About to just collapse. dysfunctioning. And that's the Supreme Buddha, whose entire knowledge, everything was in a body, in a vessel. And the vessel was growing. It had its own timeline. All our bodies have their own timeline. For the vessel, the lady we are in life, it's going to be on program. Of course, by good sleep, water, we can definitely destroy it, make it faster, right? Enhancement wise, possibly minor, destroying wise a lot that we can do. It's running to its own program, right? So it will not tell you, you can take so much trouble, you have looked at it like a best friend, will it ever tell you tomorrow 8:50 you're going to have a heart attack? If it can tell you, good, we'll book an appointment at the kind of hospital you want, get the best doctor. And you can all plan it out because your friend, the body told you, having a heart attack. Heart attack. Right? You are taken by complete surprise, utter surprise, because you did everything by the book, balanced diet, slept, drank the water, exercised, took the medicine, and yet you got the heart attack. And then people are like, I spoke to this person yesterday. Yeah. And now the person is dead. So the more we hear people, we can see our own delusion. We can see it through other people. Okay. So shall we? So let us, this entire practice, Sati Sampajana, is about awareness of consciousness. So let's start with baby steps. Okay. So sit comfortably and so has anybody observed it? No, so we are not comfortable naturally. Okay. Yeah, I don't think anybody on this, yeah, nobody is. Yeah, correct. Okay, so we are going to first do the posture, awareness of the posture. So keep gently close your mouth. Allow your mind to rest on the body. You are now conscious of your consciousness. Your body is sitting. Gently scan your body. Start with the head. You are aware of your head. You can feel your head. Feel your shoulders. The upper body. Come down. The arms, upper arms, lower arms, hand. Your hip. Upper legs. You can feel the weight of your body, the way you are sitting. You are now aware of the weight, how it feels, and the upper legs as you sit, the hip area, upper legs, the knees, the hands, your feet touching the floor. If you are barefoot, you can feel the floor or the carpet. If you are having shoes or slippers, you feel that. Body is sitting. Let's scan the feet now. We get everything. Lower legs, knees, upper legs, hips, carry the weight of the body. Okay. upper body, hands, lower arms, upper body, shoulder, head. They are fully aware, sitting, full awareness. The sit there for 5 minutes in full awareness of the body. Let your mind go wherever it takes you in this body. You may feel something, a little twitch somewhere, little stretch, twitch. You might feel the pain. You might feel the clothes, the touch of the clothes in your body. Feel the weight of your head. Feel the weight of your upper body on the lower body, the way you are sitting. Full body awareness. Feel the entire body. Posture. Spend 5 minutes. I'll keep the time.